Hey bees, I'm Marie from Humblebee and Me, and today we are making this quite intriguingly inky winter solstice facial polish. So I don't do a ton of physical exfoliation, but I adore how this makes my skin feel and how this makes my skin look. I use it a couple times a week and I find that it really sort of invigorates, refreshes, and just my complexion looks fantastic. So I'm definitely a big fan of this project. The bulk of the polish is some soft butters. I've used shea butter, but you could use a different soft butter if you wanted to. Touch of emulsifying wax, so I used all of them 1000, and then some liquid wax and a touch of cetyl alcohol. So it gives us a creamy, soft base that's got pretty good rinse off. And to that I've added some Rasul Clay. I chose Rasul Clay because it's kind of sandy. It's a gentle physical exfoliator. It's not as fine and powdery as something like French green clay or kaolin clay. So I would recommend keeping to the Rasul Clay if you have it. I've also included some powdered sodium cocoa isethionate. So this is a powdered anionic surfactant and it adds a bit of lather. So when you do start to work this facial polish up with water, you do get a low, gentle, creamy lather, and it gives really excellent rinse off property. So it really helps kind of boost what the Olive and 1000 or the emulsifying wax is doing. I've included a tiny little bit of activated charcoal, enough that the product looks dark, but not enough that it makes a mess in your bathroom, which for me was really, really important. I love the aesthetic of this. You know, it's inspired by the winter solstice, so it's black and then studded with white jojoba beads, so it's like a night sky studded with stars. But I really didn't want it to make a disaster of my bathroom or your bathroom, so it's a very small amount of activated charcoal. Our essential oil blend is really crisp and clear and wintry. There is, of course, some fir needle essential oil because it smells like forests and trees in the north and it's wonderful. And then we have some michelia alba, which gives a really sweet, quite exotic note, and then a touch of bright, spicy cardamom. It all comes together very, very beautifully, but if you want to use something else, you totally can. Speaking of using other things, I have detailed all kinds of different substitutions and alternatives in the blog post for this recipe, so if you go down to the description box, click through to find this recipe on the blog on humblebeeandme.com, you'll find all that information there. You should also definitely check out the Humblebee and Me encyclopedia. I have individual entries for loads and loads and loads of different ingredients there with information about why we use them, substitutions, usage rates, all kinds of good things. So it's also very much worth checking out. But come on, let's get started. We'll begin by combining the ingredients for our heated oil phase. So you're going to need 8 grams of refined shea butter, 6 grams of Olive M1000, not Olive M300. If you need a substitution, please go down to the description box and click through to the blog. I have lots of information there. 17 grams safflower oil, and 0.8 grams cetyl alcohol. To melt everything through, we're going to pop this in a water bath. So this is a small saucepan with about 1 inch or 3 centimeters of water in the bottom of it, and a little silicone drink trivet that I got on clearance at some local kitchen store. So I'm going to go put this on the stovetop over medium heat for about half an hour until everything melts through. If you find that the Olive M1000 really won't melt for you in a water bath, just try popping it in the microwave for about 10 seconds and that should do the trick. So everything has melted. I did end up having to finish this off in the microwave as that Olive M1000 just did not want to melt for me. So up next we are going to add some of our sort of not heat sensitive ingredients. The reason I didn't put these in for the melting is just that we could more easily monitor how the melting was coming along, since obviously these things won't melt and they'll kind of cloud the waters, as it were. So in this lovely little dish, we have 0.4 grams activated charcoal, just enough to make it black, but not enough to make a huge mess. 4.2 grams of Rasul Clay, and 1.6 grams of quite fine sodium cocoa isethionate. Up next, I'm going to speed the cooling along by popping this in a water bath, an ice water bath, doing some stirring. So this will also help the shea butter not go grainy, but I gotta say, in a product like this, I'm not sure how much we care about that, since it's already going to be quite a grainy, scrubby product. I'm not even sure you would notice if the shea butter went a little grainy on us. But anyhow, we have our cool down ingredients sort of assembled off to the side there, and we will be incorporating those once this gets a little cooler. It's already starting to thicken up around the edges. I'm going to add our jojoba beads here. So these are white. They're supposed to kind of look like stars on a dark night. And that's 1.2 grams of jojoba beads. All right, let's weigh out our cool down ingredients. So we need 0.2 grams liquid germall plus, 0.15 grams vitamin E, 0.32 grams fir needle essential oil, 0.05 grams cardamom essential oil, and 0.03 grams michelia alba essential oil. Okay, so this is mostly set up. It's going to get a bit more viscous than this for sure. I'm going to pop it in our jar. So the stuff that's in there already is just the batch of this I made for the blog earlier today. So it'll all go together very nicely. Scrape that in there. And now I think it's time for a bit of a test. So kind of what we're aiming for is something that has, a nice bit of scrub, but doesn't make a big mess. So you wouldn't use too much of it, but you can see that as it gets spread over the skin, it isn't really dark, and it doesn't make a big mess in your bathroom, which is nice. And then when it comes to rinsing off, you can see it'll foam up a little bit here because of the surfactant and the emulsifier, and so it does actually rinse off really nicely. But I gotta say, this studio setting is probably not the greatest place to show you how well it rinses off, but it does rinse off really well. You can see that it does lather up a little bit as well, so it offers some nice cleansing as well as a touch of exfoliation. And there you go. You just made a beautiful winter solstice facial polish. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and please go down to the description box below this video and click through to find this recipe on my blog, where you'll find links to all the ingredients, information on sort of the why this is in there and what it's doing, information on substitutions, scaling, shelf life, and a whole lot more. So thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.